Okay, we're going to get started here. Thank you all for being here, and I will have more coming in as it moves along here. Here we go. Welcome to RECO12. I'm Justin, your host and a grateful child of an all-powerful, all-loving God and an addict living in the miracle of recovery. RECO12 is all about exploring the common threads of addiction and sharing tools and hope from those on a similar path. We gather from diverse backgrounds, faiths, and places to learn and support one another. Our speakers represent various fellowships, addictions, and afflictions, thus showing the common threads of recovery no matter our addiction or affliction. Today's speaker for the 231st meeting is Josephine A., who spoke to us previously on meeting number 162. Her topic then was seeing God through another's eyes. And I'm excited to hear her experience, strength, and hope today on the topic of her choice entitled The Choice, Feeling Alive or Living the Lie. We'll get to her talk in the Q&A afterwards in just a minute. First, for a little bit of business. RECO12 has several recovery resources in our family of podcasts and social media communities. To learn more, listen more, connect more, or just hang out and learn and grow with us, you can check out the other podcasts. Noodle It Out with Nikki M., which releases every Tuesday, Big Book Roundtable, which releases every Thursday, and RECO12 Shares, which releases each time we get enough recorded shares to release it. To learn more about each of these podcasts, check out the chat or the show notes, or go to www.reco12.com. That's RECO12.com. To join our communities, check out to join in our communities. You can do the same. I've posted links in the show notes here and in the chat. I'm also on the lookout to schedule other speakers for future RECO12 meetings, and I'm scheduling a couple of weeks in April and May now. So if you are someone or know someone with a message to share, please reach out to me at reco12pod@gmail.com. That's RECO12pod@gmail.com, and we will get that ball rolling. RECO12 is a self-supporting service, and your contributions help us continue our mission. Thank you this last week to Lynette, Jennifer, Nicole, Abigail, Sean, Barbara, and Chrissy for becoming spearheads and supporting the RECO12 cause. If you would like to also become a spearhead and join RECO12 and support us, visit www.reco12.com/support or click on the links in the show notes and chat for one-time or monthly donation options. Your support really does make a difference in keeping us sharing our message of recovery. We had a really powerful story that was posted on the Facebook page and was posted in the WhatsApp group of just you listening audience saving the life of somebody by sharing RECO12 with them. What a beautiful way and thing this is. We look forward each week and each meeting to receiving from the light reflected from our speakers. That light inspires hope, meaning, worth, and growth in us, the listening audience. Now I'm going to introduce our speaker for today, Josephine A., and give a little background on her. Here's a little about Josephine. Josephine started drinking at 11 years old and is a blackout addict by her own words. She has been in and out of the rooms of AA, SLA, CODA, CA, DA, Gray Sheet, and OA. Only when Josephine wanted to die in recovery, feeling desperate and insane, did things change. Today, she is blessed and beyond grateful to be able to talk on podcasts like RECO12 to share her recovery, strength, and hope to addicts of any kind. Take it away, Josephine. The floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Justin, for that. So grateful to be here. My name is Josephine, and so it's really good to be back. I'm hoping that my internet's going to be okay because it keeps going a little bit funny. So please let me know somehow if it keeps going off or not.
Okay, and if it does, maybe we'll try without the video on and see how that goes. But it sounds okay right now. Thanks, Josephine.
All right, fantastic. Okay, so my subject today is the choice. Feeling alive or living the lie. This really resonates with me because it's down to a choice that I have to make every single day. No matter what fellowship I have been in, no matter what program I am trying to follow, it's about a choice. And every day, since the first day I came into recovery, I knew that there was something else, because I couldn't do it. I could not manage anything. I was losing everything. I couldn't live with things. I couldn't live without things. And for me, going into recovery was I almost did a step 3 there and then, because I was saying, look, I can't do this. You guys must know what you're doing. So actually, when I break it down a little bit, I feel like I kind of took a step 3 the moment I decided I needed recovery, because I knew in that moment my life was so manageable and I just couldn't manage anything on my own. I was losing everything and but just wanting everything. I just wanted everything. I was so selfish and so wrapped up in me and what Josephine wanted and what Josephine could get. And it was just an awful place to live. And sometimes I can get reminded of that place when I slip into self-will these days. And it's not a nice place to be. It's not a nice place to be at all. And it doesn't feel good whatsoever. So when I am in the choice, I do feel that I am either alive or I am living a lie. Because if I feel that I'm in a certain way, maybe I'm feeling depressed or I'm feeling a resentment or I'm feeling a grudge, I am living in the lie, because that is my addict brain telling me that this is what's going on. Now, what I have read in the big book and how I live my life is that I cannot differentiate the truth from the false. So if I'm not feeling alive, and by alive, I mean I'm not feeling lit up, I'm not feeling excited, I'm not feeling passionate about recovery or about doing service with other people and about what this whole program is about. If I am not feeling that, then I am in the lie, which I know is quite extreme, but that is how I have to be. It has to be an all or nothing attitude with me. I was all or nothing with everything that I ever took. I couldn't stop at 1. I couldn't stop at 2. It had to be everything. And I always kind of laugh to myself, because I always used to share that the only thing that I didn't get addicted to was gambling. When in reality, every time I go my self-will and I don't take God's will, I'm actually gambling with my life. So the way I see it, actually, I've pretty much gambled. I've gambled every day of my life, even though I profess that it's the only thing that I have not been addicted to. I just want to share a couple of quotes from the big book that really stand out for me as things that I need to read over and over and over again. Because we can read these pages, but ultimately, until these pages come alive and they jump out at us, will they really sink into our souls and our beings? Okay, so on page 300, letting the problems of the future rest with the future. When the time comes to solve them, God will give me the strength for that day. I mean, if I read this every single morning, I think anxiety would be quite non-existent. Page 315. This program is for people who want it, not for people who need it. So I have to wake up and every single day ask myself, if I want recovery, do I want this program? Because it's not about if I need it. It's not about any of my family members thinking that I need it. It's not about me thinking, oh, I really need this thing. It's about if I want it. And if I don't want this thing, I've got to find out what is really going on. Probably I need to do a step 10. Maybe I need to do a step 4. We've got these tools at our feet that we know. And if we just show up and listen, then we have all these instructions what to do. But guaranteed, the days that things are happening, the things that are going wrong, the things that I don't like, it's because I've not wanted to show up that day. I've not wanted it. I've not chose recovery, and I have not chose the instructions. Okay, so page 137, when I am willing to do the right thing, when I am willing to do the right thing. That's kind of like a mic drop right there, because if you're not willing to do the right thing, then like if I am not willing to do the right thing, then what am I doing here? Like seriously, When I showed up to this program and I said, I am willing to give everything over to this power greater than me. But then if I turn around 3 years later, 4 years later, 6 years later, 20 years later, and I'm now not willing to do it, then what am I doing here? Seriously. Okay, so when I'm unwilling, I become everything that I don't want to be, and it is always my choice. It says that in the big book. Page 318, no amount of money or fame can equal what has been given to me. I used to be obsessed with money, absolutely obsessed with money. And today, I am responsible with money. Now, if I'd have said that 10 years ago, I think I'd have been like, nope, not me, because I didn't really know what I was doing with money. But in this program, we get taught things. We get taught how to live. It is really a design for living. It's not just a program, it's a way of life, a design for living. And I love that in the book, it says words like miracle, new way of life, sanity, love, tolerance, awakening. You know, those kind of words I never used to even read about or talk about before I went into recovery. And now we just have this gift. I have this gift every day if I want it. Some days I just wake up and I can pray and I'm thinking, what is this day going to be like? And some days it's not a good day. And that's okay, because not every day is going to be amazing. Nowhere in this book is there a document that we sign that says when we sign up to do this program, when we decide to do this program, life's going to be amazing. The miracle for me every day is that I'm not wanting to snort anything. I'm not wanting to throw anything in my mouth. It's not wanting that I'm just wanting to go sleep with everybody or spend everything or do. That is the miracle for me. I'm not expecting like sunshine every day and unicorns. And I mean, if that happened, great. But, you know, it's about being real. And for once in my life, this program has given me a chance just to be real and authentic. And it's just the most beautiful, beautiful thing. I just want to share about something that's happened to me in the last 12 months, because I think a lot of people, it might help a lot of people. The last 12 months, I've been going through a divorce, and the man who I was married to, I was with for 17 years. So I met him. I was fully in addiction, and I got worse into addiction the longer we were married. I got sober in marriage, and then in sobriety decided that I had the courage and strength to leave the marriage. Now, I don't say that lightly. I have 3 children. It was one of the hardest decisions I had to make. But if it hadn't have been for this program, I don't know what I would have done. So I have gone through this year, I have gone through a divorce towards the end and not used any solicitors. I've not used any lawyers. I've not used any properly appointed authorities. And everyone was telling me what to do. Everyone was telling me I was ridiculous. I was stupid. Go to this, do that, do that, do that. Everyone told me what to do. Everyone had something to say. But I deepened my connection and I deepened my practice so deep in the last 12 months that I got all my guidance through God. And God was telling me not to fight. God was telling me to talk, to be patient, to be tolerant, to be loving, and to have faith, which is incredibly hard when you don't know what's going to happen the next day or the day after that, or what's going to happen next time you answer the phone, or what's going to happen to the rest of your life. But we can come back to this again, because it says again on page 300, letting the problems of the future rest with the future. When the time comes to solve them, God will give me strength for that day. Now, if I'd have known that this time last year, everything that would have happened, I don't think I would have had the strength if I'd have got shown that straight away. But this is why we get shown this amazing thing that we can live in the day, that I can live in these 24 hours. I don't need to worry about what's happening next week. Yes, I can plan. Yes, I can, if I have something coming up, I need to get with it. I need to get responsible, and I've got things to do. But getting responsible and knowing what you're doing is different to trying to control and run the show. It's two different things. And if I do my program and I follow the instructions of the book and I widen my service, because I see the big book and recovery as the foundation. So for me, everything that I do throughout Spiritual Gangsters is the foundation for how I live. And everything that I can do above and beyond that. So I do volunteering, and I go to a church, and I do all these other things. And in the big book, it does say that. It says that there's many other books. See where religious people are right. And it's not saying replace this for that. I have tried that. I tried replacing things for that. I tried going and studying Buddhism and just thinking this was everything I ever needed until it wasn't. I've tried doing everything, the yoga, the spiritual retreats, the philosophy, the everything. I've tried doing it all before this because I just didn't want it enough. I didn't want it enough. And it is hard to say that. I started doing the steps again today for the 4th time. And nowhere in the book does it say that we need to keep doing the steps over and over. But I felt like I needed to, and I wanted to as well. There's a difference. And even just going back to basics and just going back to that step 1, it's just there's something so beautiful about it. When you think that life is all planned out and you think that everything is going okay, and then the rug just gets pulled underneath your feet and you don't know what you're doing, you don't know who to turn, you don't know what to say, what to do. What this program has given me is the ability to pause. And that sacred pause is a miracle in itself. Being able to not react, to be able to respond, and to be able to treat others how they should be treated, because who makes me better than anybody else? When I thought all those years that I was so much better than other people, who makes me better than anybody else? Nobody. So today, my life is purely about living in God's will. And that doesn't mean that I don't get to do anything that I want to do. And I think this is something that I really struggled with. Just because I'm wanting to do something, does that mean that it's not God's will, or vice versa? Just because I'm wanting this thing to happen, like where's the cutoff? Like, how do I know what's God's will and what's mine? But really doing this over and over and doing your daily practices, doing my daily practices. And if I'm waking up and I am praying, when I wake up and I open my eyes, I have to say thank you. And I get on my knees and I pray. And if I don't do that, you can guarantee that my day will go different than if I do open my eyes, say thank you, get on my knees and pray. The simple action of doing that just changes my day and changes the course of the action of the day. So for me, recovery today is about what I can give and what I can be in life. But in order to do that, I have to look after me. And that is not selfish, because if I don't look after the things, the fundamentals that keep me alive, then I cannot be a light for God. I cannot be that vessel that spreads joy, that spreads light in this world. So eat, sleep, eat, drink, sleep, repeat. Eat, drink, sleep, repeat. And this is about eating, because I have had a problem with food in the past. So am I getting responsible with this? Am I planning my meals, or am I going shopping when I'm hungry? If I just go shopping when I'm hungry, then I'm going to buy everything that's got sugar in it. And then I'm going to start on a binge, and then I'm going to do this and do that and do that. Drinking, what have I got in? Am I drinking sugary drinks? Am I doing this? Yes, there's no alcohol in my house, but I can go above and beyond that. And how am I how am I being nutritious in my body? How can I look after myself? That means that I can be a better version of me to help you. Because if I don't show up for myself, then I sure as won't be showing up to do meetings like this or to help other people. And sleep, that's what I was saying. So food, the drink, and then the sleep. Sleep is one of the most important things that I have ever discovered to my recovery. Sometimes I just don't want to go to bed. But if I go to bed at a decent hour every day, I am naturally waking up in the morning and I completely feel so different the next day. Sleep is one of the most underrated phenomenons ever. It's just the most incredibly healthy thing that you can do, that I have done to get into a really healthy sleep routine. So all of these things are just adding up to a really amazingly beautiful life that I never thought I would ever have. I can have conversations today with my ex, who I was with for 17 years, and we can talk. We don't shout, because I have been the person who I was, and recovery has given me that ability to do that. Behavior breeds behavior. So I am now seeing that other people are showing me with the same patience and love and tolerance that I was showing them in the past, which is the most beautiful thing. And it's not why we do it. It's not why I do it. I do it because this is instructions of the big book, but this is what life has been showing me. I do these things and I show up every day and do this. And by the miracle of God, this is what is happening. And I am finding that life has just become easier. It's simple, but only if I do the work. And that is the thing, that it's simple, but not easy. And just because I'm in recovery does not mean, again, that nothing bad will happen. We might go through the day and something might happen which might just really annoy us. It might set us off. It might trigger a memory. It's so interesting to know that smell is one of the most potent things that can trigger old memories. So there's music and smell and there's certain things that can trigger such sensitive points in our brains that sometimes if you're unaware of it, you can be in a place, you can either hear some music, maybe smell a perfume, and it can take you back 10, 20 years. So for me, learning about these things has also been something that I've got responsible about, because I never wanted to be in a position where I'm turning up somewhere, or maybe somebody buys me something or I buy something, and it takes me back to a memory of when I was in Vegas one night, or it takes me back to a place where I was lying in a bathtub wanting to kill myself one night. You know, it's about all those things that the book has given me the ability to go above and beyond with researching things about how things can affect me, how it can affect other people. Because if I'm getting triggered with something, then my kids aren't going to get the best of me. My friends aren't going to get the best of me. My mum and dad aren't going to get the best of me. So if I'm wanting to be that person who can show up for other people, to be that strength for other people, and to be calm for other people, to listen and not offer like how to fix things all the time. Don't like not be that person that just listens to tell you what to do. Not be that person that's like, I know how to do that. Oh, just listen to me. I used to do that all the time. Somebody would be talking and I couldn't wait just to just jump in and tell them what to do. I don't have to do that anymore. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for everything that I have been given. Yes, this way of life, I feel, can take me away from certain relationships, which may be deemed as sad. But, and this is a big but, the life that I have been given now is what has been intended for me. And yes, it can take me away from friends, exes, partners. It can take me away from people that were so used to seeing me in a different light. But what I have been given in replacement for those things and that lack of love, because really in reality, those relationships were never built on love, not the love that I believe in now. The love that I believe in now is an unconditional love that I feel for everybody. And what God has given me is that ability to see love in everybody. And if somebody is arguing, if somebody is hurting somebody, if somebody is doing something that I potentially would not do or don't agree with, who am I to say that's wrong? Who am I to tell anybody how to live their life? Like, codependency for me is no longer any part of my life anymore. I am responsible for me and me only. And that responsibility is such an important thing that I have to make sure I show up every single day, and I don't get a day off this. I don't get a Saturday off like I did my job. I don't get a Sunday just wishing I could be doing something else and not be here where I am. Because when you flip it round and you see what you have got and everything that you have got to be grateful for, the fundamental things in life, like I've got a warm house, I've got running water, I've got electricity, I've got internet, which means I can see and speak to all of you amazing guys. And you suddenly just start thinking life's pretty amazing. And the more I see the amazing things and the more I'm grateful for the amazing things, the more easy and beautiful my life is. And when I don't see the amazing things, when I take them all for granted, my life feels a little bit harder. I don't feel easy. I start feeling a little bit annoyed. People in the street start annoying me. People in my car start annoying me. I'm suddenly shouting at people in the car. And it's about gratitude. It really is. And that is another choice. In order to feel alive, you have to be grateful. And I have to be grateful for the things that I have got in my life. And if I'm not grateful, why am I here also? Because this program is all about being grateful, and it's about obsessing about gratitude. It's about giving my mind something else to obsess about than myself. So in order to get out of myself and to get into whatever I need to get into, gratitude is one of the first quick things that I can do. If I'm feeling a certain way, if I'm wanting something to eat, if I'm doing this or whatever is happening in my life, if I can flip that around and see the gratitude, see the gratefulness in the situation, that changes everything. And I think I'm just going to leave it there and just mic drop it on gratitude. So thanks.
Drop the mic. Thank you so much, Josephine. Such a good share. And one of the things you mentioned, you said, now I can just listen, to be present. And even, so often I'm in there, listen to fix, listen to give my opinion. And in this setting here, I'm listening to ask a question, so I always have this ulterior motive at the end of it. How can I do this? And I really have a hard time myself reining that in to just listen and be present. So with that in mind, I have some questions that I wrote down while you were speaking, while I was listening. But also to our live audience, if any of you have questions for Josephine, please type them in the chat. If you want them to be anonymous questions that I just read from an anonymous attendee, direct message them to me. If you're okay with me saying your first name, send it in the general chat. We'll get to those questions as we go through the next 25 minutes or so of Q&A. But the first question I want to ask you is basically this one here. You talked, and this is such a huge thing for me that it was my takeaway from your talk here. You talked about how your more recent past, while you've been living in recovery, is such that when people speak to you, they aren't responding. They aren't coming at you with bitterness or resentment or whatever because of how you've treated them. In the big book, we talk about how selfishness, self-centeredness, that's the root of our troubles. And we go around stepping on the toes of our fellows, and they eventually retaliate based on self. Talk to us a little bit about how that has changed in your life, how you went from stepping on the toes to bringing light so that people don't retaliate and cause or bring resentment into your own life.
Hmm. What an awesome question. Thank you. I just want to pause for a second. The answer to that is I don't really understand it, Justin. I don't understand how some of this program works. But I did get told by my sponsor to not try and think your way through this program, not try to intellectualize things. And for me, as hard as it was in the beginning, when I started I just closing your mouth, close my mouth, close my mouth. And it was just that constant, it was like training, it was like training a puppy. Close your mouth, just keep your mouth closed. And it was about sometimes people would say things to me in that transition period of me biting back and remaining calm, or I would felt like that I would get hit like with a bullet sometimes. The words that were coming at me were like bullets. And for me, it was about just building that armor. And I guess the way I like to think about it is when there's kind of an argument going on, or there's bitterness going on, or resentment, it's like two people involved in a dance, and if that one person is getting up and dancing, but I'm just sat on the chair watching them, then the dance ain't really going to happen. So maybe they get bored of dancing on their own and they just go sit down as well.
No, thank you for sharing that. I love that imagery of the dance too. I have similar imagery of being on the field and sporting events and that. If I'm not in the game, it's just not going to happen. Thank you for sharing that. All right, we have a question from an anonymous attendee. This person says, "Do you have days where there is just no serenity?" This person says, I have no desire to pick up or use. I'm regimental with eating due to my eating disorder. The first 12 months was great surfing the pink cloud, but the last 2 months, I just feel like I'm getting it right. I'm checking the boxes. I should be further along. The time I feel life is worth it in or on a meeting, talking to sponsees, step work, and when I'm with my sponsor, they say live in recovery and visit the world. I don't want to just visit the world anymore. I just cannot relate to it anymore. What are your thoughts on that? On days when you just don't feel serenity, even though you're checking the boxes?
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, whoever has shared. I feel those days completely. Not every day is a day where some days it's kind of a brave thing to get out of bed, um, because I know what's going on. And yeah, sometimes you feel like you're checking the boxes. But I just want to pick up on the thing that you said, the should. Because nowhere in the instructions does it say that we should be anywhere or at a level where we are not. So straight away, I would I would say, please don't be so hard on yourself, because the shoulding is not a helpful thing. And if something's not helpful, I try and drop it. So if I'm shoulding on myself, I try and drop it, because maybe today I should have done something else. But it was okay, because I was getting ready for this meeting and I could have been doing something else, and maybe I should have been. But the more I practice acceptance with, I don't have to be doing something all the time. I used to just have to be doing things all the time to have meaning. And some days are just going to be life. And for me, that's when I start going a little bit deeper. Like, what is life truly about? And in order to answer those questions, I have to go outside, I have to get fresh air. And by the time I've done that, I've kind of come full circle and I'm back to doing something else again. So I'm not sure that helped, but I think it's completely normal what you shared. Yeah.
Hmm. Thank you, Josephine. And I have a question that I think builds on that a little bit. You know, your topic, one of the lines of your topic is feeling alive. And in my life, some of the times when I've said, "Man, I feel alive now," it's after like some big rush of an experience, something that was massive and huge, and I got done. It was like on the edge of death almost, a death-defying experience. Wow, I feel alive.
Yeah.
How do you now feel alive where many of those outlets of that rush are something that you choose not to do today? How do you feel alive today in that process?
I love this because I get you. I get that as well, the adrenaline. And I do still chase adrenaline. I must admit, I still do chase adrenaline. But for me, feeling alive is actually stillness, which is the opposite to what I used to think aliveness was. Aliveness used to be doing and being and experiencing. Aliveness to me is when I can go super still and when I have learned in meditation to slow my breath down. The feeling alive is the gap almost. When you've exhaled, it's the bit in between taking a breath again, when you're not really breathing, but you're so there and you're so in your body, you can't help but feel alive for me.
Now, I'm going to come back at that a little bit. As
Okay.
somebody who may be new in the rooms, who is, or maybe is still out there, they're in the rooms, but maybe they're still relapsing. They're still having a really hard time with this. And life is just boring. It seems boring without those highs, without those rushes. And this moment between breaths just doesn't seem like enough to keep me engaged. What do you have to say to the person in those shoes?
I was once there, and if I'd have heard me talking like this 5 years ago, I'd have probably left the meeting. Um, for me, if in that place, because that's the place I was in, I have to throw myself harder and harder and harder into helping other people. The more I'm finding it boring, I'm in me. So if I have a sponsee that's finding it boring, I'm like, you need to work your program more. You need to help other people more. You need to make more calls. You need to do more service. You need to do, because you're spending way too much time being in you, finding things boring.
Yeah, I love that, getting outside of self to so often I'm looking to try and see what I can take out of life. And the big book instructions are see what I can pack into the stream of life rather than take from it. You talked about, Josephine, a little bit about how you spend time volunteering, going to church and giving back in the community. Why is that so important in your own life and in your own recovery?
For me, it's building on what I have been given. So for me, doing the program, helping other people in recovery is the foundation of what I do. But myself, and I know my own abilities and the time and the commitments that I have space that I can help more people. And I've always had this calling to do that. I just never knew what capacity I could do it. So really, it's kind of, I knew it was always something that I wanted to do. Um, but the volunteering work that I do is so important to me. It's just part of, it's hard, but it's just part of who I am. And without that hard and the deep and the heavy, I just feel I don't get the light and the other side of it. And yeah, it's just about experiencing all parts of life because I know I have the ability to be strong because I've got the program to keep me grounded.
Yeah, thank you, Josephine. All right, we've got another question from our live audience, an anonymous question. How do you balance self-care with pushing yourself to do more recovery work?
Mm. Yeah, so for me, I need to check what is the self-care. So sometimes my mind can lie to me. Um, Sometimes my mind can tell me that I need a break when sometimes I don't. But if I do genuinely need a break, I will allow myself to do that because like I shared, it's about getting to the point where where for me I know myself, but I honor who I am because I am a child of God. And if I don't look after me, I can't look after you and I can't be there for you. So it's about knowing your commitments. It's about getting responsible. It's about knowing, and it's about maybe as a woman for myself, knowing the days of the month and how I feel certain days of the month, and actually don't pack too much in that week because you know you're not going to feel great. So why are you doing that? And it's just about getting to maybe to know yourself a little bit more for me. And I keep saying it in general ways, but I keep wanting to say for me because this is just about my experience. So yeah, it's something that I have learned to explore. It's not a right or wrong answer or an easy or right answer. It's something that week by week I tend to explore what feels good. If it's too much, I come back. If I can do more the next week, I do a little bit more. It's just playing around with it for me.
Yeah, thank you, Josephine. Do you mind if I share a little bit of my experience with that question also? Are you okay with that? Okay. Yeah. So, in fact, this is just in the last 2 days, I've had this happen twice with me. I'm one who very can convince myself really quickly, oh, you're doing too much, just back off and relax for a day or a week or just disappear. And I know from past experience that's not healthy if I'm just going, oh, I feel like things a little bit heavy now. I just need to back away. But one benefit that I have found from the community of recovery is that the more people that I interact with on a regular basis, the more people who know me and who I know them, um, people will say, "Hey, Justin, it sounds like your plate is too full. You may need to back something off right now and just step away from something for a day, a week, or a month, or just push it off your plate." And that is one of the beautiful things about a recovery fellowship and being connected and not just coming into a room and hiding off camera and not saying anything, just being there to listen, or going into an in-person meeting and just hiding in the corner, not participating. When I get involved, there's more people who can say, "Hey, Justin, it looks like your plate's too full," or "Hey, Justin, you are avoiding things too much right now. Let's get in." And that's really been helpful for me. Do you have any thoughts on that, Josephine?
Yeah, as you were saying it, this happened to me actually not so long ago. Um, Great example. Yeah. If I'm kind of sat there going, I think I'm doing too much. I know I'm doing too much when I am on the phone to my sponsor and I'm crying and I'm like, but I've got this and I've got that and and then she says, "You've got too much on." And I'm really blessed that I've got that relationship with her. But yeah, I've had that experience also, people telling me that I've got too much on. So it's less about me trying to juggle everything. When I get honest with others about what is going on in my life, that's when maybe they can give me the reflection of that I've got too much on. Mm.
Yeah, good. Thank you. All right, got another question from an anonymous attendee. This person says, "I still struggle sometimes to be fully in. As you were saying, program is for people who want it versus people who need it. What helps you to be fully in?"
Mm. What helps me to be fully in is that I know my life's just a bit nothing if I'm not. If I'm not fully in, my life will tick over, maybe for a day, maybe for a week. Felt like I was getting into a wrap there, maybe for a month. Maybe for even a year, it might tick over, which is kind of quite scary. But then I'll suddenly just think, what's the point? I don't want to be here. Seriously, what's the point? And I've been at that place too many times and it's scary. That's why I just choose to go in. I just choose to be in. I just choose to be in. Yeah. And sometimes it's just about me saying that I am in recovery and I'm not ashamed to talk about it. And I used to be really ashamed to talk about recovery or no one can know. But actually, because of all the people that I know now and the experience that I've had in this amazing program, it's nothing to be ashamed about. And we don't crawl before no one, as the big book says, and we stand tall as God's people. So I am in, and any relationship that I get into, knows that this comes first. This comes first before anything. And that is something that I choose and I want. So it's too scary not to do it for me.
Yeah, for me too. Josephine, you said something there that I think is really powerful. I think, well, I know that for me, the first few years in the room, I was like, the fewer people that know about this, the better. Yeah, I've got my little network here that I can talk with openly, but I love the transition that has happened. And I think in that transition for me, when I went from I don't want anybody to know to I'm okay if people know. I'm not going to be out there and singing it from the rooftops, but if somebody asks me a question, I'll say, "Hey, you know what? I'm in 12-step recovery, and here's a principle that I've learned that's helped with that." I have never had somebody go, "What?" and shun me. Um, so talk to me about that transition in your own life where you had that happen and how that maybe brought more power into your life or more freedom into your life.
Yeah. So I've not had an experience of that either, of somebody kind of going, oh, really? I think maybe some people have been shocked because they've only ever known me in recovery. So they can't almost imagine what I used to be like, which is a blessing, a definite blessing. Um, for an example, I was where I'd like to use an example, yeah. So where I do my volunteering, I was there the other day, and people generally in the type of volunteering it is have a driving force to do that kind of thing. And my mentor was just talking about why he came and why somebody else came. And at that time, that's when I just openly shared that I was in recovery. So I can understand this, this, and this. And I'm just met with people are almost proud of you without even saying it. And it's a really bizarre thing that somebody who you don't know that well kind of feels this sense of, wow, well done you. And I'm like, wow, that's like amazing that somebody who you don't really know would feel a sense of achievement or proudness or love, or it just shows you what this program's about. And yeah, I'm definitely not afraid to share it anymore. Definitely not.
Yeah, I love that process where weakness, I have not had the power to do anything, and I still don't have the power in myself. But in
Mhm.
recovery, in my higher power, in the fellowship, that's become my superpower. And
Mhm.
and it's a great thing when weakness becomes strength.
Mhm.
So yeah, thank you for sharing that. Quick reminder to our live audience: we've got a time for maybe one or two more questions. If you have a question for Josephine, please type it in the chat. We'll get there. But you talked about willingness early on in the talk here about how important it is to be willing today, not only today, but one day at a time, so that 5 years from now you don't wake up and say, I'm not willing to do that anymore. How do you continue to practice that willingness to do whatever it takes today to live in recovery?
Yeah, so those fundamental things that I need to do on a daily basis, what I have to do is liking it to hygiene. Um, and there's different types of hygiene. There's physical hygiene, there's emotional hygiene, and there's spiritual hygiene for me. And it's in the same category. It's something that I do every day. Like I have hygiene in my body, but I want to keep this the same. And it's about keeping on top of things. And it's in a fundamental thing of every day of how I live. It just has to be done. And that's the choice I made. And I've made it that many times now. It's kind of become ingrained that it's just something that I just do because it's about repetitive movements. And I know as humans, if we just do things over and over and over again, it builds new behaviors and therefore behaviors change. And then your life becomes the behaviors that you're doing then rather than back then.
Yeah. You mentioned hygiene. I love that. I've never heard it put quite that way. Physical hygiene is something that I can really quickly envision and say, okay, I've got to wash my body. I got to eat right. I've got to do whatever, those types of things. What does an emotional hygienic practice look like to you? What do you do to stay emotionally, to practice emotional hygiene?
Okay, so emotional hygiene would be dealing with things there and then that are arising in me, not allowing them to fester and grow. I think of things like if I get annoyed quickly or something happens or I react, if I leave it, it's like mold. And I think of these things like mold. And if I just leave it, it's just going to grow and it's going to spread and it's just going to get a bit smelly. So I like to deal with things when things arise, whether that's in myself or with a sponsor or with somebody else in the fellowship or with somebody that's not even in the fellowship. That is because it's not just about people in the fellowship, right? It's about everyone in our lives. And there's the people that sometimes it's harder with. And being a mum and around my kids, I mean, that's the biggest place for me to practice emotional hygiene and to teach those guys it and to be aware of my emotions and to be aware of that actually like emotions are there to teach me something, not there to punish me. And I don't need to punish myself for my emotions. If I really truly listen to my emotions, I can learn from them. That to me is emotional hygiene.
Thank you so much, Josephine. All right. Before we wrap up, do you have any final words of wisdom that you'd like to share with us?
I'm not sure it's words of wisdom, but I'm just being so grateful to be on this meeting. I think everyone who's choosing today to do recovery is incredible. And I hope you all just feel that love inside you. I really hope you do because it's there. Thank you.
Thank you, Josephine. Huge thanks for a fantastic RECO12 weekly speaker meeting. If any of you had questions that you just didn't get in, that you wanted to ask but were worried about it or whatever, please consider joining our WhatsApp community by sending an email to RECO12pod@gmail.com. We'll get you in there. Ask those questions there. Join in the conversation there. Be a catalyst to further conversation in that group. If you haven't already done this, please consider rating and reviewing the podcast on Apple Podcasts. It really is a powerful way to work step 12 and get this message out to more people out there. As I mentioned earlier, a really cool story was sent to me this week, and I posted it in the WhatsApp community and on Facebook. And just, guys, I'm grateful to be able to be part of this community that is saving lives and helping people. All right. Make sure to check out the Afro Euro recordings that Karen A hosts on many Wednesdays. She also does a live meeting at 9 a.m. Great Britain time, UK time, Standard Time, Greenwich Standard Time, I think is what it's called. 9 a.m. on Wednesdays, and she does that. Next Friday, we're scheduled to hear from another first-time RECO12 speaker, Jeffrey B., whose topic will be "What You Are Looking For, You Are Looking With." And I'm excited to hear this conversation from this new RECO12 speaker. If you'd like to be considered as a future RECO12 speaker, please send an email to RECO12pod@gmail.com and we'll get that set up. And stay tuned on the WhatsApp community and on our email list for more information on what we're doing. All right, let's launch off into the rest of our day with a third step prayer, which Josephine will say for us.
Thank you so much. So this is the third step prayer translated. God, I give myself to you to use me as you want. Relieve me of my self-will so I may better do God's will. Please take away my fears, my selfishness and self-centeredness, so I can be an example of your power, your love, and your way of life to others. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Josephine. Everybody, remember there is one who has all power. That one is God. May you find God now. Keep coming back, and when you do, come all the way in, sit all the way down. Let's trudge this road of happy destiny together. Work it. You are worth it.
I've seen stars fall from above. I've fallen in and out of love. I've been high and I've been low. Now I know I just can't do this on my own. I've seen a boy become a man. He got lost without a plan. He's so far away from home. Now I know that I just can't do this on my own. Your arms surrounding me, your touch is grounding me. No longer searching for purpose all alone. 'Cause now I know that I just can't do this on my own. I'm looking for the words to say. You make the world a better place, and I can call that place my home. 'Cause now I know that I just can't do this on my own. Your arms surrounding me, your touch is grounding me. No longer searching for purpose all alone. 'Cause now I know that I just can't do this on my own. So let me see just what you need to set you free, so we can be. I saw stars fall from above. I fell in and out of love. I got high and I fell low. But now I know that I just can't do this on my own. No, I just can't do this on my own. I just can't do this on my